Hi, I'm Wei Boyang, a renowned alchemist and writer of the Eastern Han dynasty. I have devoted my life to the pursuit of the elixir of immortality, the ultimate goal of Taoist alchemy. I have written a book called The Kinship of the Three, which contained the secrets of the cosmos and the transformation of matter. I also discovered a mysterious substance that could explode when ignited, that I call the fire drug. I have 3 loyal disciples who follow and assist me in my experiments. They are Zhang, Li, and Wang. They had studied under Wei Boyang for many years and had learned the principles and practices of alchemy from him. They have also witnessed the wonders and dangers of the fire drug, which they believed was the key to the elixir of immortality. One day I gathered his disciples in our laboratory, which is beautifully located within in a secluded mountain cave. My assistants had prepared a large crucible, a furnace, and several ingredients for the fire drug. He said to them, I told them, today is the day we will achieve our ultimate goal. We will make the elixir of immortality and we will test it on ourselves. We will become immortal and transcend the cycle of life and death. Are you ready to join me in this great adventure? My disciples dutifully nodded, maybe a little bit too eagerly, and expressed their admiration and gratitude to me.
Master, you are the greatest alchemist of our time. You have taught us so much, seen so much, and you have shown us the wonders of the fire drug. We are ready to follow you and share your destiny. We are ready to become immortal with you.
Very well then, let us begin. The elixir of immortality is made of 3 ingredients, which correspond to the 3 principles of the cosmos: sulfur, saltpeter, and birthwort herb. These are the same ingredients that make up the fire drug, but in different proportions. The fire drug is 1 part sulfur, 1 part saltpeter, and 1 part birthwort herb. The elixir of immortality is 2 parts sulfur, 1 part saltpeter, and 1 part birthwort herb. The extra sulfur will increase the potency and longevity of the elixir. Do you understand?
Yes, Master. We understand. We have read your book, The Kinship of the Three, and we have memorized the formula of the fire drug. We know how to make the elixir of immortality perfectly.
Good. Then let us proceed. Zhang, you will measure and mix the sulfur. Li, you will measure and mix the saltpeter. Wang, you will measure and mix the birthwort herb. I will supervise and guide you. Be careful and precise. Do not make any mistakes. The elixir of immortality is very powerful and dangerous. If we make it correctly, we will live forever. If we make it wrong, I have no idea what may happen. Are you ready?
Yes, Master.
They began to work on their tasks, following Wei Boyang's instructions. They measured and mixed the ingredients carefully, using scales, spoons, and mortars. They poured the mixture into the crucible and placed it on the furnace. They lit the fire and waited for the elixir to form. I watched them closely and said, Remember, my disciples, the elixir of immortality is not only a physical substance but also a spiritual one. It is the result of the harmony of the 3 principles: sulfur, saltpeter, and birthwort herb. It is also the result of the harmony of the 4 elements: earth, wind, water, and fire. We must test the elixir against the 4 elements and see how it reacts. If it passes the test, it means it is pure and perfect. If it fails the test, it means it is impure and flawed. Do you understand? They waited for the elixir to form and watched the crucible carefully. After a while, they saw a black powder appear in the crucible. It looked like the fire drug, but darker and finer. Behold, my disciples, the elixir of immortality is ready. It is a black powder just like the fire drug, but more potent and refined. Let us test it against the 4 elements and see how it reacts. Zhang, you will test it against the earth. Li, you will test it against the wind. Wang, you will test it against the water. I will test it against the fire. Be careful and cautious. Do not touch the elixir with your bare hands. Use a spoon or a stick. Do not inhale the elixir. Cover your nose and mouth. Do not spill the elixir. Keep it in the crucible. Are you ready?
Yes, Master, we are ready.
They began to test the elixir against the 4 elements, following Wei Boyang's instructions. They used a spoon or a stick to take a small amount of the elixir from the crucible and placed it on a plate or a bowl. They observed the elixir's reaction to each element. Zhang tested the elixir against the earth. He took a small amount of the elixir and placed it on a plate. He then sprinkled some soil on the elixir and waited for the reaction. He saw that the elixir did not react to the soil. It remained as a black powder and did not change its color or shape. He said,
Master, the elixir does not react to the earth. It remains as a black powder and does not change its color or shape. It passes the test of the earth.
Good, Zhang. The elixir does not react to the earth because it is stable and solid. It has the quality of the earth, which is firmness and endurance. It passes the test of the earth. Lai tested the elixir against the wind. He took a small amount of the elixir and placed it on a plate. He then blew on the elixir and waited for the reaction. He saw that the elixir did not react to the wind. It remained as a black powder and did not fly away or scatter. He said,
Master, the elixir does not react to the wind. It remains as a black powder and does not fly away or scatter. It passes the test of the wind.
Goodly. The elixir does not react to the wind because it is dense and heavy. It has the quality of the wind, which is movement and change. It passes the test of the wind. Wang tested the elixir against the water. He took a small amount of the elixir and placed it on a bowl. He then poured some water on the elixir and waited for the reaction. He saw that the elixir did not react to the water. It remained as a black powder and did not dissolve or fizz. He said,
Master, the elixir does not react to the water. It remains as a black powder and does not dissolve or fizz. It passes the test of the water.
Good, Wang. The elixir does not react to the water because it is dry and inert. It has the quality of the water, which is fluidity and adaptability. It passes the test of the water. I tested the elixir against the fire. He took a small amount of the elixir and placed it on a plate. He then held a lit candle near the elixir and waited for the reaction. He saw that the elixir reacted to the fire. It ignited with a loud bang and produced a bright flash and a cloud of smoke. He said, Behold, my disciples, the elixir is full of the qi that brings immortality. It ignites with a loud bang and produces a bright flash and a cloud of smoke. It passes the test of immortality. My disciples were startled and amazed by the elixir's reaction to the fire. They had seen the fire drug burn before, but never so violently and brilliantly. They said,
Master, the elixir reacts to the fire. It ignites with a loud bang and produces a bright flash and a cloud of smoke. It passes the test of the fire. But why does it react to the fire and not to the other elements? What does it mean?
My dear disciples, the elixir reacts to the fire because it contains a powerful and hot chai, which may extend our life force to immortality. It is the quality of the fire, which is heat and energy. Fire is the source of life and light, and fire is the symbol of immortality. The elixir reacts to the fire because it is the elixir of immortality. Do you understand?
Yes, Master, we understand. The elixir reacts to the fire because it is the elixir of immortality. It is the most powerful and sublime of the four elements.
Now, my disciples, we have made and tested the elixir of immortality. It is time to take it and become immortal. We will swallow a small amount of the elixir and wait for its effects. We will feel a surge of heat and energy in our bodies, and we will see a flash of light in our eyes. We will then enter a state of transcendence, where we will be free from the limitations of the physical world. We will be able to fly to see the past and the future, to communicate with the gods and spirits, and to live forever. Are you ready to take the elixir and become immortal with me?
Hi, I'm Li Tian, a fun-loving monk who lives near the city of Liuyang in Hunan province. I have always been fascinated by the fire drug, the black powder that can explode when ignited. I learned how to make it from an alchemist named Wei Boyang, who claimed it was the elixir of immortality. He and his disciples tried to swallow it, but they all died painfully. I thought they were fools, and decided to use the fire drug for a better purpose, to scare away evil spirits and bring a little entertaining joy to the people. I stuffed some fire drug into bamboo shoots and lit them with a candle. They made a loud bang and a bright flash, and the bamboo shoots flew in all directions. I called... them firecrackers, and they were fun and harmless. I used them to celebrate the new year, and the people loved them. They said I had invented a magic trick, and they praised me for my skill and wisdom. They also gave me money and gifts, which I accepted gratefully. The ingredients are not free. Soon the fame of my firecrackers spread throughout the land. Even the emperor heard of them, and he was curious and impressed. He summoned me to his palace and asked me to demonstrate my firecrackers for him. I was a bit nervous, especially after seeing so much gold, jade, and silk everywhere on everyone. One dress would set me for life. At the same time, I was excited, and I prepared a large batch of firecrackers for the occasion. I hoped to please the emperor, and maybe get a reward or a palace position. At the palace, and I was greeted by the emperor and his court. They were all dressed in fine silk and jewels, and they looked at me with curiosity and admiration. The emperor was a young and handsome man, with a gentle and friendly smile. He said to me,
Li Tian, I have heard of your firecrackers, and I am eager to see them. They say you have created a wonder that can frighten the demons and delight the people. Show me your firecrackers, and I will reward you generously.
I bowed and said, Your Majesty, thank you for your kindness and grace. I am honored to show you my firecrackers, and I hope you will enjoy them. They are simple and harmless, but they can make a loud noise and a bright light. They are good for celebrations and festivals, and they can bring moments of exhilaration and excitement. I took out a bamboo shoot filled with fire drug and lit it with a candle. I threw it into the air and waited for the explosion. It made a loud bang and a bright flash, and the bamboo shoot flew in all directions. I smiled and said, Your Majesty, this is a firecracker. It is made of the fire drug, which is a mixture of sulfur, saltpeter, and charcoal. It is easy to make and use, and it can create a wonderful effect. Do you like it? The emperor and his court were stunned and amazed by the firecracker. They clapped and cheered and said,
Li Tian, you are a genius. You have invented a magic trick that can amaze and entertain us. We love your firecracker, and we want to see more. Show us more, and we will reward you.
I was happy, and more importantly, they were happy. And I said, Your Majesty, thank you for your praise and generosity. I have more firecrackers for you, and I will show them to you. They are all different sizes and shapes, and they can make different sounds and colors. They are all fun and harmless, and they can bring a little more entertainment and fun to the palace. I took out another bamboo shoot filled with fire drug and lit it with a candle. I threw it into the air and waited for the explosion. It whistled and spun, then made a louder bang and a brighter flash, and the bamboo shoot flew in all directions. I smiled and said, Your Majesty, this is the whistling firecracker. It is made of more fire drug, and it can create a flute sound as it spins. Do you like it? The emperor and his court were more stunned and amazed by the bigger singing firecracker. They clapped and cheered louder and said,
Li Tian, you are a master of firecrackers. You have invented a magic trick that can astonish and thrill us. We love your firecrackers, and let's see what more the monk firecracker master has in his basket.
I was happier, and more importantly, so were they. And I said, Your Majesty, thank you for your admiration and generosity. Of course I have more firecrackers for you, and I will show them all to you. They are all different sizes and shapes, and they can make different sounds and colors. They are all fun and harmless, and they can bring more excitement and thrills to our lives. I took out another bamboo shoot filled with fire drug and lit it with a candle. I threw it into the air and waited for the explosion. It made an even louder bang and an even brighter flash with a great rainbow of yellow and green, and the bamboo shoot flew in all directions. I smiled and said, Your Majesty, this is an even bigger firecracker. It is made of even more fire drug, with a little too much sulfur creating the colorful explosion. You like it? The emperor and his court were even more stunned and amazed by the even bigger rainbow firecracker. They clapped and cheered louder and said,
Li Tian, you are now a legend. You have invented a magic trick that can awe and excite us. We love your even bigger rainbow firecracker, and we want to see more. Show us more.
I was happier, and more importantly, so were they. And I said, Your Majesty, thank you for your respect and generosity. I have more firecrackers for you, and I will show them to you. They are all different sizes and shapes, and they can make different sounds and colors. They are all fun and harmless. Let's watch them all. I took out another bamboo shoot filled with fire drug and lit it with a candle. I threw it into the air and waited for the explosion. It whistled and threw colors everywhere, and then the loudest bang and the brightest flash, and the bamboo shoot flew in all directions. I smiled and said, "Aye, Your Majesty, this is the biggest of our firecrackers. It is made of the most fire drug and a dusting of copper, and it can create the biggest effect. Do you like it?" The emperor and his court were the most stunned and amazed by the biggest firecracker. They clapped and cheered louder and said,
Li Tian, you have been gifted by the sun god. You have invented a magic trick that can dazzle and enchant us. We love your biggest firecracker and we want to see more. Show us more, and we will reward you more.
I was the happiest I had ever been, and more importantly, so was everyone in the palace. And I said, "Your Majesty, thank you for letting me entertain you. I have shown them all to you. Your Majesty, you are my benefactor. You have given me everything I ever wanted. I love your rewards, and I want to always serve you. I will use my firecrackers for you, and I will keep you entertained and excited with firecrackers the rest of my life." From then on, I became the emperor's firecracker maker, and I used my firecrackers for his entertainment. I used them to celebrate his birthday, his coronation, visitors' welcomes, his victories, and his anniversaries. I also used them to scare away his spiritual enemies. I made him happy and peaceful, and more importantly, so was I. I lived a long and happy life. I do regret those vows of a monk, because I fell in love and was not able to have her or a family.
I am Emperor Taizu of Song, the founder and first ruler of the Song dynasty of China. I came to power after overthrowing the last emperor of the later Zhou dynasty in 960. I unified most of China under my rule, and I reformed the military and civil administration. I am a skilled archer and a brave warrior, and I love to test my skills and abilities. One day, I decided to hold a competition with my generals, who were also my old comrades and friends. I wanted to show them how much faster the use of arrows from bows and crossbows was than the use of cannons and fire sticks, which were new weapons that used the fire drug, a black powder that could explode when ignited if confined when expanding. I had learned how to make the fire drug from a monk named Li Tian, who used it to create firecrackers. He said they were fun and harmless, and he used them to scare away evil spirits and bring joy to the people. I thought they were useful and powerful, and I used them to scare away enemies and bring victory to the army over the decades. I gathered my generals in the palace courtyard, and I set up 20 targets at a distance of 100 paces. I gave each of them a cannon or a fire stick, and I took a bow and a quiver of arrows. I said to them, "My dear generals, today I want to have some fun with you. I want to see who can shoot the targets faster and better. You will use the cannons and fire sticks we have been using very aggressively in our battles. I will use the bow and arrows, which are the old weapons that use the skill and strength. We will each shoot at 20 targets, and the first to finish wins. The winner will get a prize, and the losers will get a punishment. Are you ready to join me in this competition?" The generals agreed to join me in the competition, and they expressed their confidence and loyalty to me. Then one said,
"Your Majesty, you are the greatest emperor of our time. You have taught us everything we know, and you have shown us the wonders of the fire drug. We are ready to follow you and share your destiny. We would love to accept your challenge and test our skills and abilities."
I smiled and said, "Very well then, let us begin. Remember, the first to finish wins. The winner will get a prize, and the losers will get a punishment. Be careful and precise. Do not make any mistakes. The cannons and fire sticks are very powerful and dangerous. If you use them correctly, you will hit the targets. If you use them wrong, may break something or injure each other. Are you ready? They all remember these fire sticks and cannons exploding in the field of battle. The general again said,
Yes, Your Majesty, we are ready.
They took their cannons and fire sticks and aimed at the targets. I took my bow and arrows and aimed at the targets. We waited for the signal and then we fired. The cannons and fire sticks made a loud bang and a bright flash, and they shot flames and shrapnel at the targets, tearing them to shreds. The bow and arrows made a soft whoosh and a sharp thud, and they pierced through the targets. We fired as fast as we could, and we tried to hit all the targets. I was faster and better than the generals, and I hit all the targets with my arrows despite them outnumbering me. I finished first, and I won the competition. I smiled and said, Behold, my generals, I have won the competition. I have hit all the targets with my arrows. I have shown you how much faster the use of arrows is than the use of cannons and fire sticks. The bow and arrows are the old weapons that use the skill and strength, and they are better than the cannons and fire sticks, which are the new weapons that use the fire drug. Do you agree? The generals did not answer because they were all wounded. They had hit themselves with pieces of shrapnel, and they had burned and injured themselves. They had made mistakes, and they had suffered the consequences. They had lost the competition, and they had lost their dignity. I was shocked and sorry for the fate of my generals, and I regretted my decision to hold the competition. I had hurt my old comrades and friends, and I had endangered my best and loyal soldiers. I had won the competition, but I had won nothing. Yet we had learned something. I decided to recall all of my generals and give them a nice retirement package. I did not want to risk losing them, and I did not want to rely on their aggressive and violent methods. I wanted to reduce the violent aggression of the military and increase the role of the civilian. I wanted to reform the civil service system and recruit based on education and merit. I wanted to reform the examinations and tests and make them accessible and fair. I wanted to cull out violent, immoral and unethical and disloyal, and promote the moral and ethical and loyal. I summoned my counselors and asked them to help me with my reforms. I said to them, My dear counselors, today I have wounded my generals, and I have learned a lesson. I have learned that the fire drug is not the answer, and that the military is not the solution. I have learned that the civil service is the key, and that the education and merit are the foundation. I have learned that the examinations and tests are the tools, and that the morality and loyalty are the values. I want to reform the civil service system and recruit based on education and merit. I want to reform the examinations and tests and make them accessible and fair. I want to cull out the immoral and unethical and disloyal and promote the moral and ethical and loyal. Will you help me with my reforms? The councillors agreed to help me with my reforms, and they expressed their wisdom and advice to me. They said,
Your Majesty, you are the wisest emperor of our time. You have learned from our mistakes, and you have shown us the wisdom of peaceful visions of the future. We are ready to serve you and share your goals. We are ready to help you with your reforms and implement your policies.
I smiled and said, Very well then. Let us begin. Remember, the reforms are for the good of the people, and the policies are for the benefit of the country. Be careful and diligent. The civil service system is very important and complex. If you reform it correctly, you will improve the administration and governance. If you reform it wrong, you will corrupt the bureaucracy and society. Are you ready? The lead councillor said,
Yes, Your Majesty, we are ready.
They took their pens and papers and wrote down the reforms and policies. I took my seal and ink and approved the reforms and policies. We worked as hard as we could, and we tried to improve the civil service system.